This video involves a new Rebel employee that we have not seen yet. Let me get their name here so I'm not messing it up. Alexa Lavoie? She is their French Canadian correspondent that they hired recently that covers. She's actually been releasing pieces for them. Uh, oh my god! I woke up my Amazon Echo because I said her name. I was like, "What the hell's happening?" That's hilarious. My spy machine. Yes, my spy machine is set off by her name. What does she do if she has an Amazon device? I bet there's like a way to program it so that it like responds to a different name. Anyways, she was hired as their French language correspondent, and so she's been actually releasing pieces for Rebel News on their YouTube channel, but in French to, I guess, appeal to their French audience, or I guess they want to cultivate a French audience. Okay? Now, this makes her, in, I guess, the media sphere, an unknown quantity, right? So recently, and I don't think we played this. I was going to, but we didn't end up getting to it, I think. She was able to ask a question of Erin O'Toole at a conservative event in Quebec. And the reason she was able to ask that question is because she got into the event, because nobody recognized her, and then asked him a question without identifying that she's a Rebel News correspondent. Which is a very interesting tactic. But someone like David or Kian, like they couldn't get away with that because everyone knew who they were. They made enough of a racket that they couldn't do it. Now, this person has been able to do that. And she did it again with Jagmeet Singh. And so, given the opportunity to sneak through and get in, let's see what kind of question she ends up asking. So here we go.
So Jagmeet Singh is the leader of the NPD, New Democratic Party. We know that he have a policy to not answer to Rebel News, but I'm currently in Montreal, in Castelnau Street, because Mr. Singh will be there to visit small businesses in Montreal. Like Mr. O'Toole, I'm wondering...
So this is, and sorry if her accent is very thick, but I hope you can understand it. I can understand it. And
you?
Yeah,
I hear is oui, oui, franchement.
I have a lot of francophone friends, and have been able to interpret their French accented English, and that is fine. And I respect and love them. I love French, and I love my friends in Quebec, and I love Montreal, great city. So I have no problem with Quebec generally, other than their like bigoted laws at the provincial level. That's a problem, and the kind of like conservatism that is embedded with a lot of the separatist movement. But I generally do not mind Quebec. Is this the poutine trip? I don't. I think it is the poutine trip actually, but it's at a different point in the. So what Two Cars is referring to is the NDP had a poutine truck at one of their events, which was pretty cool. Same, I'm a French simp. I wouldn't say I simp for it. I just I have a respect for it. I like it, and I feel somewhat like I understand somewhat where a lot of French speaking people come from when they get annoyed with the rest of Canada for not respecting the language and stuff like this. I just don't like how it often manifests itself in very like reactionary ways, but I get it. But this is so you could see she asked a question of O'Toole, again wore the mask, got up close, asked the question, and she did so without being recognized because again she's not holding anything that says Rebel News, and she managed to get in.
If he will answer to me, if he doesn't see the Rebel outlet, leaders shouldn't refuse to answer to independent media. Why? Because they shouldn't be scared of any question, and they should allow the freedom of speech of any media. That is the real democracy that we need to bring back to Canada. So I will asked a couple of questions to him about if the vaccine passport should be permanent, and as well, what he's thinking of supporting a vaccine passport for the minority because they are lower vaccinated in Canada, so that can be a discrimination for them.
So there's the two questions that she wants to ask is whether or not the vaccine passport is going to be permanent, and to what extent the vaccine passport itself is going to discriminate against minorities because minorities are, according to them, less likely to get vaccinated. Now, again, that is true per capita within each demographic, but it's not true overall. Like, I think it's 57% of the unvaccinated are white, so like a majority of the unvaccinated are white. But within each demographic, they have like a higher propensity to refuse vaccination or have vaccine hesitancy, and that's largely having to do with again a worry about medical experimentation and other shit that have historically affected marginalized communities. So it makes sense, but like, and there's probably ways. I think the last time Jagmeet was asked a question like that, as I think it was Mocha, we didn't play this clip either, but Mocha yelled at him, what are you going to do about minorities who won't get vaccinated? And Jagmeet's response was, convince them. Which I guess is all you can say, really, right? Convince them. Now, the other thing that I want to pick up on, which is the thing that she said right before she went into this, which is that the NDP or these other parties should not be rejecting independent media. And so the idea is they should be accepting of Rebel News, who's independent. And we're independent media, and how dare they, like, neglect us? They only go to mainstream sources. But notice how, like, the fact that she's getting in and asking questions is itself a sign that these parties are not actually against independent media, right? If they were against independent media, they would just tell anyone who comes by to get the fuck out of there if they're not CTV, if they're not CBC, or, like, name your Global News, National Post, etc., right? But she manages to get in. So it's like, it's not a rejection of independent media. The rejection is against Rebel News because it's not because Rebel News is independent, it's because Rebel News is fascistic. It is racist and bigoted, and no one wants to associate with it. That's why. That is the only reason. So the only reason she can sneak in is because she doesn't have, like, Rebel News plastered on her. POC tend to have more demanding retail jobs and can't afford to take a day or two off for the vaccine. That as well. That as well. They should do, like, a vaccine holiday or something. Like, I don't know how that would work out. Never mind. Actually, now that I said it out loud, I realize that would be a stupid idea because everyone, like, having that many people go for a vaccine all at once is a terrible idea. This is why I don't work on public health policy. All right, let's see this.
So let's see if it will answer to my question. So what I want to prove here is all the leaders have discriminated Rebel News for no reason. What is they are saying about us is like we are disturbing event and they don't want to answer our question. And most of them have politics to don't answer our question. So my point is to show that they have no reason to don't answer our question.
Like, think about, like, the experiment that she's trying to set up here. It's like, I'm running an experiment to see if they actually will answer my question. And to see that, like, well, why aren't you answering other questions by Rebel News? And it's like, the obvious rebuttal to that is you're going to ask a very surface level question that doesn't expose your latent bigotry with that Rebel News. And that way, no one realizes when you're pretending not to be Rebel News that you're bigoted Rebel News, right? Like, it's such a stupid fucking experiment. Because you know when Kian and David and all those assholes got to ask questions at the last leadership debate in 2019, of course, the questions they asked were bigoted because they were allowed to ask the questions and they were like clearly identified as Rebel News. And Simone has snuck up to the side here. Smile for the camera, Simone. What are you doing? Don't try.
So keep watching us. Jagmeet Singh bus arrived
This riveting
around
footage,
1 in the
riveting footage
afternoon.
of like robust
An
hunting.
army of cameras were present to cover the event. Mr. Singh was present to visit and encourage businesses in Montreal. How do you want to believe in the person when everything was orchestrated wonderfully?
Now I got cat hair all over me.
45 minutes in total to walk in a small street where most establishments were closed.
The coverage here is
Entering
so
shops and taking things randomly without having looking at them.
Is she implying that they're not actually buying things? Because it looks like they're buying things. Like they're just looking at things, but they're not. He clearly has cans in his hands. Like, what is... I don't know. Whatever.
And even be offered them by the owner.
Oh, so the owner gave it to them for free. Well, that's the owner's choice.
Et ça, c'est toute qu'une visite. Hein? Ça doit être pas reposant. Hein? Il doit être fatigué à la fin de sa journée. Taking picture like we encourage local business. How the whole thing could have been more fake.
I love this. She's like, oh my god. She's realizing for the first time that these political events are staged. They're not. People don't normally behave like that. Damn it. Are they going to count that as a monetary contribution? I don't know. Can they? Do they have to? I just like, of course these things are staged. Like I'm sure Jagmeet didn't just decide randomly to enter this business unannounced and harass these people. I'm sure this was all planned ahead and it's photo ops and you're doing it with your candidate, and your candidate probably selected those businesses because they know that they're friendly to them. And yes, it's staged. Every single campaign does this. Every single one of them. Rebel News, why are you this?
When we know that Maxime Bernier, who was giving a press conference 2 hours before, had invited all the media and none answered the call. This is further proof of censorship on the part of the mainstream media.
So Maxime holds a conference and no media show up, and this is apparently evidence of censorship. It can't possibly be that no one cares about a party that's polling that low and doing so shitty and full of bigoted racists. No one cares about it, so they're not, showing up. Again, PPC is polling in the low single digits, and I think NDP is in the high 20s right now, right? So, total different ball game. Singh actually has a chance of at least having some impact on Canadian politics, where Maxime Bernier will hopefully burn out with the rest of his party. I love how the candidate for Papineau is there. She knows she is not going to win, so she is all over social media being a goofball and not giving a fuck. LOL. Yeah, I know. Papineau, for people who don't know, is Justin Trudeau's riding, and so this candidate, we can see the back of their head right now. She's, I can't remember her name, but she is the candidate running in Justin Trudeau's riding for the NDP. And so the chances of her winning are like nil. Like Justin Trudeau is probably going to win his own, not just probably, almost certainly is going to win his own riding. So, Tony, ask the PPC about how important it is to stage events when one of his yellow vesters smoked. Oh my god! Okay, we should play that right now. I completely, I was going into stream today being like, I gotta play the egg clip, and I totally forgot about it. So thank you so much, Tony, for well, you didn't capture it, but like noticing it and posting it online. So this happened. When did this happen? Yesterday? I think this happened yesterday. But I'm sorry. Is this like? Can you see it, Elron, or do I have to adjust shit?
I'll be good.
I feel like you will
Especially when.
Whoop. All right, here we go. We ready for this? So this happened to Maxime Bernier yesterday, last night.
Let's do it.
Just the casual.
Holy shit! He just fucking.
The casual.
He walks out.
No, he doesn't walk out. Eventually, people do start to engage with him, but it's at first the casual walk away is just so fucking good.
Like, they fucking grab him, and he's like, "Yeah, what?" Oh my god.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. So I do want to highlight, and Tony pointed this out too. This guy is actually a yellow vester. I didn't follow up with any of like your sleuthing, Tony, to know like why he's anti PPC, even though I know a lot of the yellow vesters were kind of like supportive of the PPC. The yellow vesters, for people who don't know, you had in France, there was these yellow vest protests, which were against the sort of like taxation on gasoline prices in France. And that movement in France was a broad movement. I think like it incorporated a lot of people across the political spectrum. But for the most part, I feel like it was organized by the left, even though there were some more fascist elements. And I remember seeing like fights break out between them. But in Canada, they like were anti-Sharia law. And just like racist, or a racist version, but like would all wear the yellow vests. And a lot of yellow vesters were very anti-politician. Well, I mean, that's why it attracted the fascists. I just remember when it was happening in France and I was looking into it, the sort of like origins came from a lot of labor activism and had like left-wing tinges. But since it was more populist, or like, as you said, anti-politician, it did attract a lot of elements. There was one video I remember seeing where you had this like fascist part of the yellow vesters, and then these other yellow vesters who were more left just started beating the shit out of the fascist element, which very, very weird seeing people ostensibly on the same side because they're wearing like similar styles of clothes just starting to go at each other. Very weird. Let me guess, there's some conspiracy theory that Bernier and Trudeau are both part of the Great Reset. I don't know. I don't know why this yellow vester turned and smacked Bernier over the head with an egg. But I guess on this one action, solidarity. But if you know, not solidarity with the cause, because it's probably out there. But seeing Bernier get an egg cracked over his head is quite nice. So, and as you can tell, low security. I mean, like. In contrast to what we're watching, like, of course, no one's going to cover Bernier. But if they did, maybe the mainstream media would have gotten the egg smack. The Egger did think that Bernier and Trudeau were on the same Soros team. Oh my god. Okay. Thanks for the update, Tony. Oh my god. The conspiracy theorists are just wild. I don't even know how to tease all that apart.
The main journalist of LCN asking me if we need to believe the conspiracy theory to be part of the team of Rebel News. Let's see.
So this person works for this LCN thing and is responding to her. And I'm just going to say it because it's blocked off here. He goes, so for... The translation says, so for working at Rebel News, do you need to believe any conspiracy theory? And her response is, no.
Incredible.
Croyant d'une des théories ou pas? En tout. C'est juste parce que nous autres, on n'est pas souvent.
And then it cut, so you don't get to hear the rest of the exchange. But then she says, the only difference, it's that we don't receive any government money or corporation too. Now, I know that I think she actually edits her own videos too, hence why the grammar of the sentence is poor as well, since she writes the subtitles as well.
I was gonna say it's amazing that these computers nowadays can just translate whatever gibberish the French speak into like a practically digestible language. It's amazing.
Yes. Although solidarity with the French, I'm not going to acknowledge the gibberish comment by my God.
I love it. Solidarity with the French, and then you still call it gibberish.
Part of it is I don't like her. All right, that's
solidarity with the smelly cheese eaters. Absolutely.
It's le fromage.
Par le gouvernement, mais c'est tout. C'est la seule différence. Bonjour. Bonjour.
This is some bot that I think just follows a whole bunch of people. Because this person followed me before, so I'm not even going to acknowledge it. So it says, Alexa. Oh, I don't want to say that, or my robot's going to answer me. She says, "Hi, Jagmeet," or "Hi," and then Jagmeet says, "Hi, how are you?" And then she says, "Good, thanks. I have a question for you."
Ça va? Oui, j'aurais une petite question pour vous. Je m'intéressais à savoir si...
And then he says, "Yes." And she says, "I'm interested to know if you think the
passeport vaccinal devrait être permanent.
Le
vaccine
passeport
passport should be
vaccinal s'il
permanent."
devrait être permanent.
permanent.
And he goes, "For me, the goal is how we can protect the population. That is the main goal."
Pour moi, le but, c'est comment on peut protéger la population. Ça, c'est le premier but. Donc,
So I'm listening, and I will follow the advice of the public health experts and others who will protect us. Seems like a pretty decent answer to that. I mean, it's a weird question. Will these vaccine passports be permanent? Kind of a weird answer.
moi, je suis les conseils de santé publique, les experts et ceux qui vont nous protéger. Donc, s'il y a une bonne raison.
And then he goes, if there's a good reason to do something that will protect the population, so yes. I mean, I wonder if this translation is weird, because that almost implies like he's saying that it will be permanent, but like I don't think that's actually what he's saying.
Donc, pour faire quelque chose qui va protéger la population, donc oui.
Okay, we're just going...
Like, I imagine he's probably saying something along the lines of, if there's something that would help the population, he'd do it.
Et je me demandais aussi...
And then she goes, in Canada, the minorities have the lowest rate of vaccinated people, so why are you supporting a vaccine passport that...
Parce que la minorité, en fait, au Canada, le taux de vaccination est très faible.
That would discriminate the
Pourquoi d'abord
minorities.
supporter un passeport vaccinal qui pourrait discriminer peut-être la minorité?
Love the grammar.
Donc,
For me, the first issue is to make sure to encourage everyone to get vaccinated.
pour moi, le premier enjeu, c'est de s'assurer qu'on encourage toute la gens d'être vaccinés. Ça, c'est la première priorité. Et puis,
If there are other tools to encourage the rest of the population to get vaccinated, that's something we want to.
s'il y a des autres outils pour encourager les gens d'être vaccinés, ça, c'est quelque chose qu'on veut suivre.
Okay. Merci beaucoup.
Okay, thank you very much. How nice. And,
C'est gentil.
Oui, merci. Okay, cool.
and she's like, haha, we did it. I snuck in and I asked him a question. I will say, I mean...
No, hold on. I don't think that's how she said it, is it? That's
What do you-
definitely not how she said it.
Look in the eyes.
That's
though.
just she would have said,
Look at me.
I snuck in and asking me a question.
I'll let this pass because I make in one of the upcoming podcast episodes. I dropped some bad Italian, so we did I have to believe in conspiracy
That's a good
theories?
accent. It's good.
Yeah, I mean, like you could just tell she's happy with like, ooh, I got in there and got a question. Hurrah.
Okay, cool.
So I did integrate myself pretty well. So I did talk with other media, mainstream, that they were there. And I had my chance during I was walking to ask my question to Mr. Singh, and he did answer to my question because he didn't know probably who I was. But
Yeah,
at
no
least
shit.
I have 2 question answer for you guys. So if you like what I'm doing, please like and share. But as well, please go to
So, I mean, she's promoting it.
realreporter.ca.
And it says at the bottom, realreporters.ca. So I love how they have this website saying realreporters.ca, and she passed herself off as someone who she's not to get to ask those questions. We're so real, we have to pretend we're not who we are. Very real. So real. I feel so real right now. I also want to say, yeah, I got nothing. Fuck 'em. I wanted to play. I'll play this. In case you want to get a statement from Jagmeet about vaccination that I don't feel like this video actually like captured. And I will say, like, I think weird questions, but his response was pretty much just like pablum that is just like baseline okay, in the sense of like, yes, we should make sure people are vaccinated, and so I will try my best to make sure people are vaccinated, which is not at all that complicated.
We just received some new modeling about the 4th wave. This is not something we wanted to hear. I know it's really frustrating. We want to get past this thing. But the most important thing we can do now to keep each other safe, to keep yourself safe, is to get vaccinated. Do it for the young person in your life who's under 12 and can't get vaccinated themselves. Do it for a senior in your life who has vulnerabilities. Do it for the healthcare workers who are burnt out and are telling us, please get vaccinated. The same doctors and nurses that we go to when we're sick are asking us to take the vaccine. Do this to save a life. Do this to protect yourself. Get vaccinated.
There you go. Get vaccinated, people, and vote.
Hello, my rebels. Hello, my rebels. I'm a good boy. I'm a weirdo.